vertical ventilation. So this is going to be kind of a two-person operation. The way that we're going to teach it, we are going to go ahead and have the deployment of the roof ladder, just so that they can identify, hey, you know what, if I do have a steep pitch, I am going to be throwing this roof ladder, and here's how it's going to be done. And then kind of the process of those two people getting on the roof with the tools, with the ladder, and all of that. So when you say go, the biggest thing is they need to make sure and have all their PPE on. They do not need to be on air yet, but they will need to be on air to be able to go ahead and access the vertical vent prop once we get to that point. The first person's going to go ahead, they're going to get the ladder ready. They're going to go ahead, obviously deploy the hooks, make sure they got the appropriate tool. For the sake of today, we're not going to be running the saw, but we'll show you exactly what needs to be done. The second person would start the saw and make sure and get it running, make sure that it's fully running, okay, before they get ready to go on the roof. Yes, there is that debate about, hey, do we shut it off, do we not shut it off? We're going to go ahead, for the sake of this, we're going to go ahead and leave it running. We're just going to make sure that it's all the way in the stop position, okay? So as Keith, he went ahead and he throws the roof ladder. Okay? He climbed up the ladder, he's now sounding. He climbs onto the roof, he goes ahead and he checks around all the way around just to make sure everything's good. This would be a nice big area. Then I would be climbing the ladder up here. As I climb up, he's going to go ahead and make sure and hold on to that and stabilize the ladder. I get to the top, I'm going to go ahead and pass this off to him. I climb off and around. They're going to go ahead and hand the saw back to me. Now, Keith's going to go ahead and start working all the way off. The way the prop is going to work this semester is we're either going to cut on this side or we're going to cut on this side. Okay, so for a pod, it would be 1 total cut, 2 total cuts, 3 total cuts, or 4 total cuts. They're going to work all the way up, high and right, or high and left. In this situation, he's going to identify an area. Obviously, we're talking about I'm working from green to yellow to red, and I want to be in that yellow towards the edge of the yellow and red. So now Keith's identified a specific area. Okay? He points at it, he communicates to me. I now come up with the saw, and this is exactly the foot sequence that we want you to use. They need to make sure that that saw is running full bore. They're going to plunge cut all the way down in. They're going to come in here, they're going to roll this one, they're going to come on over, and they're finishing, not going any further than the edge of their body. Now they're going to stop, they're going to set the brake. It's a little step down and a big step down. They can now lean into it all the way out. They can run the saw full bore all the way down, not crossing the top of their foot. Again, set the brake, minor foot change. We're going to go ahead and run up and over the rafter, stop, another little foot change, a step up, all the way in and all the way down. The big thing that you want to check all the way through is that they're never crossing the plane of their body. Doesn't matter if they're there, doesn't matter if they're here. That saw should never be crossing the plane of their body. Once they get done, they're going to go ahead and set the brake. The saw should still be running. Second person's going to step up. They're going to go ahead, and one of the big things that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that they communicate. Once we get this process down, we are going to be talking to them about ahead of time, making sure to say, command, we're ready to vertically ventilate. We as the instructor will say, okay. That'll be at the beginning. Once they get to this point, they're going to communicate, okay, holes cut, okay, we're going to go ahead and louver. Okay, so they louver. The two big questions that we want to ask them, number one, okay, what do we expect coming out of that hole? They need to expect fire, they need to expect smoke. If that comes up and out, what is the next step? The next step should be they're going to go ahead and leave the roof, and they're going to communicate that to command. Also ask him what happens if you louver and you do not get anything. What is the next step that you need to accomplish? They need to go ahead and verbalize, now I'm going to go ahead and punch down all the way through into that room because obviously I didn't have a lot in that attic space. They need to make sure they understand what is going to be the reaction of both. So now we'll go ahead, once they punch through, okay, they communicate to command. We got good return, we're exiting the roof. We're going to come on over again. Hand this off to the partner, climb off the ladder. Okay, go ahead and take this, climb all the way down. We get down to the bottom. That other person can go ahead. We're going to grab the tool or they can put it on the ladder. They would come off. Keith's going to go ahead, rotate the ladder up. And the ladder comes on down. So that will be the process. The biggest thing is we want to make sure that that foot sequence is the same. And it does work for short-legged people as well as long-legged people. Okay, long arms, short arms, doesn't matter. They need to practice that dance and have that dance down. Okay, once we go from one side to the other, the next day that we do vertical vent, instead of working on this side, we'll give them the opportunity to throw the ladder over here and work this way.
Biggest thing on the roof prop, when we're sounding, we're not sounding to sound the crap out of it. It's not going to change. Everything is solid. So just go through the motions of sounding. We're not cutting into the shingles, and we're not cutting into the 2x6 up there. Stay within those 4x8 sheets of plywood when we're cutting our holes.
If at any point that you don't feel comfortable with how the saw work is going, when they're running the saw, if they're doing something unsafe, stop it, shut it down, address that immediately. Obviously, we don't want anything to get caught, with them getting cut, bunker gear getting cut, anything like that. So any questions, let us know. Okay, so here's a little bit of a close-up of what we want them to do specifically for being able to work on this prop for Fort Carson or out here at Black Forest, either one. This is the footwork that we want. Okay, we want them to come up. We know that we're in this situation. We're just cutting a 4x4 hole. And this what works. This is what really works for them. And again, it's also about the saw as well and making sure that we don't ever cross the plane of our body. So we know that over here, we've got a rafter, here we've got a rafter, here we've got a rafter. They need to work within that. So the way it works is they will have a nice wide stance. There will be a plunge cut. They're going to come through. They're going to roll this one. They're going to finish, and notice how it doesn't go any further than the edge of my body. Now they're going to go ahead and set the brake. It's a little step down and a big step down. They can now lean into this and get their cut and bring it all the way down. Again, not going any further than our body. Again, they're going to set the brake. Short little movement with our feet. Okay, we come here, we roll this rafter up and over. Again, I finish right there, never going past the edge of my body. Little step over, big step up. Now I go ahead, they're going to finish this out. Now we have worked again back to the green or back to our ladder. They're coming on down, they're going to finish. And again, this is never crossing the plane of our body. That's what we want for the footwork.